"She's not your family," my mother said coldly as she closed the front door. On the other side, my 8-year-old son stood alone, holding a gift bag so tightly his knuckles were white. Inside were a few trinkets he'd picked with his allowance, a small candle, a silk scarf, and a paper card he made in class. It was New Year's Eve. He thought he was visiting his grandma. Instead, she shut the door in his face. He didn't cry. He walked the entire mile home by himself in the cold.
Hi.
My name is Elise. I've always believed in grace, even when it's undeserved. But the day I learned what my mother did to my son while I lay unconscious in intensive care, something inside me changed.
Completely.
You see, I was hit by a drunk driver just before Christmas. 3 fractured ribs, a punctured lung, and a shattered collarbone. I was sedated and monitored 24/7. My son, Jamie, stayed with my mother, the only family I thought I could trust. When I finally woke up, I didn't expect balloons or hugs. But I also didn't expect silence. I only found out what she did because Jamie tried to hide the truth. But one drawing gave everything away. When I got home from the hospital, everything felt off. Jamie was quiet, too quiet. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He just handed me a picture he drew, crayons on white paper, creased from being folded and hidden. It showed a little boy standing at a closed door with a heart on it. Outside the door was a gift bag. The boy's face had tears. Behind the door, drawn in cold blue, was an older woman with no smile. I stared at it for a long time. "What is this, sweetheart?" I asked gently. He shrugged. "Grandma said this year was only for real family," he mumbled. So I walked home. It's okay. It wasn't. I felt my ribs tighten against the bandages. My breath caught in my throat. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. My mother, shut out an 8-year-old boy who had no one else. He had scraped together every dollar of his pocket money to buy her a New Year's gift. And she left him in the cold. I didn't call her. I didn't go over. I just nodded, kissed Jamie's forehead, and told him I had something for him too. Then I reached into my drawer and pulled out the first box. Jamie's eyes lit up as he peeled back the wrapping paper. Inside the first box was a blue beanie, soft, hand-knitted, his favorite color. The second was a model rocket kit we'd talked about for weeks. And the third? A tiny music box shaped like a wolf howling at the moon. He stared at it, then looked up at me, eyes wide. "I thought these were too expensive," he whispered.
"They were," I said.
"But some people are worth it." He didn't say anything. He just crawled onto the bed beside me, curled up gently against my unhealed ribs, and held the music box close. That night, after he fell asleep, I sat in the dark staring at my phone. My mother hadn't texted, hadn't called, not even a "how are you feeling" since I left the hospital. I opened our last message thread, the one from a week before the crash. She'd sent me a picture of Jamie decorating her Christmas tree. But now I saw it for what it was, a performance. A mask. I began scrolling through old texts and photos, and the deeper I went, the clearer it became. The little slights, the offhand remarks, the way she always made sure Jamie felt less than. She had been waiting for a moment to cut him out completely. And she thought my accident gave her that moment. She thought wrong. 3 days later, Jamie's school counselor called. She asked if everything was okay at home. Jamie had turned in a creative writing assignment that concerned her. The story was titled "The Year My Grandma Disappeared." Asked if she could send me a copy. When it arrived, I couldn't breathe. In Jamie's story, a little boy visits his grandmother every year with gifts, but one day she tells him he's no longer real family and slams the door. The boy walks home alone, where a shadow monster whispers that he must have done something wrong. Then the boy's mom comes home from a long sleep. She gives him magic gifts that remind him who he is. Together, they make the grandma disappear, not with spells, but with silence. The final line crushed me. If you love someone, you don't close the door when they're standing in the cold. I sat on the floor and cried for the first time since the accident. Not from pain, from the weight of what I'd allowed. This wasn't just a mistake. My mother knew what she was doing. She had chosen to humiliate an 8-year-old boy who had never done anything but love her. And that night, I made a decision. She'd never get to hurt him again. I didn't rage. I didn't scream. That's not how you win with people like her. Instead, I opened a new folder on my laptop, Reframe, because this wasn't about revenge. It was about rewriting what my son believed about love, family, and himself. I started by pulling every photo, card, and memento Jamie had given my mother over the years, scanned drawings, birthday messages, even a kindergarten video where he sang her favorite song. I archived it all. Then I drafted an email. I knew exactly how to get her attention. Not by confronting her, that would let her play victim. No, I sent a carefully worded message to our extended family group chat, the one with the cousins, the aunts, the second cousins twice removed, who only pop in during the holidays. I attached the photo of Jamie's story. No commentary. No accusations. Just the image and a short message. I thought you should all see the kind of child Jamie is. He still believed she loved him. Then I clicked send. 3 minutes later, I blocked her number. This wasn't a tantrum. This was clarity. She wanted to draw lines about who counted as family.
Fine.
But she had no idea what it would cost her. Not yet. By morning, my inbox was full. One aunt asked if it was real. Another said she was heartbroken. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years messaged privately, "Your mom shut the door on Jamie? On New Year's Eve? Is this true?" I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The story spoke for itself. But the real play was already underway. That week, I mailed out a dozen small brown envelopes. Inside each one was a copy of Jamie's story and a note in my handwriting. If you ever wonder why we've stepped back, this is why. With love, Elise and Jamie. Each envelope went to someone my mother desperately wanted to keep on her side. Her best friend from church, the neighbor she gossiped with, her book club ladies. She spent years curating her image, the selfless grandmother, the loving matriarch. I wasn't trying to destroy that image. I was just letting the truth circulate. And it worked. One by one, the calls started. Not to me, to her. I know because my sister texted. "Mom's freaking out. She says you're turning everyone against her." I smiled at my screen. I hadn't said a single bad word. I just told the truth. And now, the silence she gave my son? It was coming back to her in full. 3 days later, I got a knock at the door. It was my mother. No warning. No apology. Just her, standing there in a tailored coat, like nothing had happened. "I think we need to talk," she said, stepping forward. I didn't move. "Jamie's not here," I said flatly. "And I have nothing to say." Her face twitched. "You're blowing this out of proportion." I didn't mean to hurt him. I was just overwhelmed. The house was full. It wasn't the right time. "You told him this year was only for real family," I replied. She flinched. I stepped outside and gently closed the door behind me. "You don't get to rewrite this, Mom. Not anymore." "I've lost friends over this," she snapped. "Do you know what people are saying about me?" "I know exactly what they're saying. Because they're finally seeing the version of you we've always had to protect them from." Her voice dropped. "So you're cutting me off? Over one mistake?" "No," I said, calm and clear. "I'm protecting my son. The way I should have from the beginning." She stared at me like she didn't recognize who I was. And maybe she didn't. Because the daughter who tolerated everything? She didn't exist anymore. I didn't slam the door in her face. I didn't raise my voice. I simply stepped back inside and locked it behind me. Jamie was in the living room, building his model rocket. When he saw me, he looked up, a little unsure. "Was that Grandma?" I knelt beside him. "Yeah." She wanted to talk. He stared at me quietly. "Did she say sorry?" I shook my head.
"No."
"But that's okay. Some people don't know how." He paused, then handed me the tiny plastic fin of the rocket. "You can help me glue this." We sat in silence, the safe, warm kind, piecing together something new. Later that evening, my phone lit up. Missed calls. Dozens. Messages from relatives who had finally seen her mask slip. But I wasn't interested in what she was losing anymore. I was focused on what we were gaining. That night, Jamie placed the music box beside his bed. When he wound it up, The little wolf spun under the soft melody. He smiled, eyes heavy with sleep. And I knew he was okay.
He knew who he was.
He knew who we were. No more begging for place at someone else's table. We had built our own.